First thing I said given date, fantastic. Given date is 15. Given date is 15 and then plus month code. So August, so I told you it is 033614625 We know August is the 8th month. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the code for August is nothing but 2. So it is 02 or 2, however the way you want. Plus century code. So it is so simple. I told you it is 1900 to 1999. The code is 0. Am I right? So go with 0, 0. Code is 0. Plus now 1947. So for last 2 digits 47. Plus and then what number of 4 multiples in 47? 4 multiples in 47 meaning just divide 47 using 4. So it is obviously 11s. Am I right? So it is 11 and so it is 44 and then 3. So how many? 11 4 multiples. 11 4 multiples by 7. 11 4 multiples by 7. Now just add everything. 15 plus 2 it is 17 and 17 plus 47 64. 64 plus 11 which is 75. So 75 by 7. And so this is the final answer what you have got. And guys, please don't cancel here. దీన్ని క్యాన్సల్ చేయొద్దండి. ఓకే, క్యాన్సలేషన్ అంటే 7 1s are 7. ఇది మీరు క్యాన్సల్ చేసినట్లయితే 7 1 7 7.7. ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ డూ క్యాన్సల్ హియర్. డూ ద డివిజన్ అండ్ జస్ట్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ ద రిమైండర్. సో డివిజన్ హియర్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ సో 75ని మీరు 7తో డివైడ్ చేసినట్లయితే ఇట్ ఈస్ 7 10s 70 and what is the remainder? 5. So remainder is 5. I just need the remainder here which is 5. So in the brackets just write down it's a remainder. So this symbol indicates, it says that we haven't done any kind of cancellation here. See మనం ఏం చేసామంటే 75ని 7తో డివైడ్ చేసాం అండ్ రిమైండర్ రాసాం ఇక్కడ అండ్ డివిజన్ చేసి రిమైండర్ రాసాము అని తెలియడానికి మీరు జస్ట్ ఆర్ అనే సింబల్ నోట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ డూ ఎనీ క్యాన్సలేషన్ హియర్. ఆల్రైట్, సో 5 అండ్ నౌ వీ నో దాట్ మండే. సో మనకు తెలిసింది ఏంటంటే మండే అంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ 1 ద డే కోడ్. ఐ రైట్? మండే అంటే 1, ట్యూస్డే అంటే 2, వెన్స్డే అంటే 3, Thursday ante 4 and 5 means Friday. That is what the code I have given. So answer is Friday. So ee particular number ni meer day code ki equate cheste you'll get the Friday. As we discussed calendars manam cheppinattu August 15th 1947 or 15th August 1947 it was Friday అని చెప్పాను. So this is how you need to find out. And remember, whatever the procedure I have given to you, you have to store everything in your mind. Please don't write anything on the paper or something. Please don't waste your time. So just because we need to get the answer here as soon as possible. So it is easy for us to get the answer within this particular lesson. మీ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ లో మీ క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ జస్ట్ ఈ 2 lines మాత్రమే ఉండాలి. సో దిస్ జస్ట్ లైక్ ఈ పర్టికులర్ పార్ట్లో మీరు ఏం చేశారు, వాల్యూస్ని సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేశారు అండ్ హియర్ ఒక డివిజన్ చేసి రిమైండర్ తీసుకొచ్చారు. ఆ రిమైండర్ని డే కోడ్కి మీరు ఈక్వేట్ చేశారు. దాట్స్ ఇట్. ఐ హోప్ యూ అండర్స్టాండ్. సో దిస్ ఇస్ 15th August 1947. ఇది ఒక బేసిక్ క్వశ్చన్. బట్ వాట్ హ్యాపన్స్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ అ లీప్ ఇయర్? దాట్స్ ద కండిషన్. Alright, now I'll tell you a procedure which you need to follow once again. So leap year లేదు కాబట్టి ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. లీప్ ఇయర్ వస్తే ఏం చేయాలి ఇలాంటి మెథడ్లో? ఇట్ ఈస్ సో సింపుల్, జస్ట్ అ స్మాల్ లాజిక్ which you need to find out. Okay, so let me talk about leap year. What does mean by leap year? So leap year is so simple. So initially we had, మీకు just like 30 to 40 seconds description leap year గురించి మీరు తెలుసుకోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది. Alright, don't worry, you're not going to get the questions on the leap year. Leap year అంటే ఏంటి, ఎన్ని డేస్ ఉంటుంది, అలా మీకు ఏం క్వశ్చన్స్ రావు. But it's your responsibility to understand how to, how leap year works and how leap year got into existence. Alright, so simple. Let's talk about leap year. Brief description చూద్దాం. So leap year అంటే ఏంటి అని చూసారైతే, initially so an year it consists of 365 days. మీరు స్టార్టింగ్లో మీరు చూసినట్లయితే 365 రోజులు అనేది మనం కన్సిడర్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం ఒక ఇయర్కి. బట్ వేరాస్ ఆ 365 డేస్ 1 ఇయర్కి అనేది మీరు ఎలా అనేది చూశారు అంటే జస్ట్ లైక్ సూర్యుని చుట్టూ. సో సన్ యొక్క ఎర్త్ రివాల్వ్స్, రెవల్యూషన్. ఐ రైట్? సో ఎర్త్ రెవల్యూషన్, 1 రెవల్యూషన్ అంటే ఒకసారి ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ లెట్స్ టాక్ అబౌట్ అ సన్ అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ ఎర్త్ అండ్ ఇట్ టేక్స్ 365 days to revolve around the sun అని చెప్తాం. Am I right? This is what the consideration. So ఇది sun, ఇది earth అని తీసుకుంటే ఇలా తీసుకుంటాం 365 days. బట్ ఇనిషియల్గా అది 365 days 1 year అని చెప్పి మన యొక్క ancestors find out చేశారు. And later on they came to know that it is not exactly 365 days. It takes 365.25 days అనేది వాళ్ళు తెలుసుకున్నారు. సో ఇనిషియల్గా మనం ఏం చేస్తున్నాం 365 డేస్ అని కన్సిడర్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం. అంటే ఈ ఎర్త్కి మన భూమికి సూర్యుని చుట్టూ తిరగడానికి 365 డేస్ అవుతుంది. అదే మనం 1 ఇయర్గా కన్సిడర్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం. బట్ లేటర్ ఆన్ దే ఫౌండ్ అవుట్ ఇట్స్ నాట్ 365 డేస్, ఇట్ యాక్చువల్లీ 365.25 డేస్. బట్ ఎప్పుడైతే వీళ్ళకి ఇది 365.25 డేస్ అని తెలిసిందో, సో ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ పాసిబుల్ టు మెన్షన్ 365.25. సో వాళ్ళు ఏం చేశారంటే 365 ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్లో ఈ 0.25ని కట్ చేసి, అండ్ దెన్ సెకండ్ ఇయర్లో కూడా 0.25ని కట్ చేసి, అండ్ దెన్ థర్డ్ ఇయర్లో 0.25ని కట్ చేసి, సో ఫోర్త్ ఇయర్ ఏముంటుంది 365.25. సో ఈ 365 ఫోర్త్ ఇయర్ 365.25కి ఈ 3.25ని యాడ్ చేశారు, అంటే 0.75, విచ్ హ్యాస్ బికమ్ 366 డేస్. సో ఎవ్రీ ఇయర్ అంటే ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్లో, సెకండ్ ఇయర్లో, థర్డ్ ఇయర్లో ఉన్న 0.25 అన్ని కట్ చేసి ఫోర్త్ ఇయర్లో యాడ్ చేస్తే అది 360 డేస్ వచ్చింది. సో దిస్ యాక్ట్స్ as a leap year. Alright, if I ask you what does mean by leap year, we always come up with 3 points. First point, it has an extra day. Am I right? So normal year consists of 365 days, but it consists of 366 days. And second point, it has, it falls on exactly February 29. So February lo oka extra day untundi. And third point మీరు చూసినట్లయితే it comes only once in 4 years. So this is the reason behind that, basic reason. So now it is 365.25 అనేది కట్ చేసి ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్లో, సెకండ్ ఇయర్లో, థర్డ్ ఇయర్లో, ఫోర్త్ ఇయర్లో యాడ్ చేశారు, విచ్ హాస్ బికమ్ 366 days. Now, so I hope you understand how leap year works. Now let's say మన ప్రాబ్లమ్స్లో లీప్ ఇయర్ వస్తే ఎలా హ్యాండిల్ చేయాలి, అసలు ఈ క్వశ్చన్ ఎలా హ్యాండిల్ చేయాలంటే, సో రిమెంబర్ వెన్ ఎవర్ యూ గెట్ ద డేట్, లెట్స్ సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 15th August 1947, ఇదే క్వశ్చన్ తీసుకుందాం ఎగ్జాంపుల్గా. ఈ 15th August 1947 వచ్చినప్పుడు మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సింది ఏంటంటే లీప్ ఇయర్ కండిషన్ చెక్ చేయాలి. రిమెంబర్, లీప్ ఇయర్ కండిషన్ చెక్ చేయాలి. సో లీప్ ఇయర్ కండిషన్ నో అయినప్పుడు, రిమెంబర్ లీప్ ఇయర్ నో అయినప్పుడు, సో రెగ్యులర్ మెథడ్. So regular method ante so simple. Now what we have done, so given date plus month code plus century code, so regular method మీరు ఫాలో అయిపోవచ్చు లీప్ ఇయర్ కాదు అన్నప్పుడు. బట్ లెట్స్ సే ఇది లీప్ ఇయర్ అయింది అన్నప్పుడు మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సింది ఏంటి, లెట్స్ సే ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ అ లీప్ ఇయర్, వన్స్ అగైన్ యూ నీడ్ టు చెక్ another condition here. సో ఆ కండిషన్ ఏంటి అంటే మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సింది వెదర్ దట్ గివెన్ పర్టికులర్ డే ఇస్ బిట్వీన్ జనవరి 1st నుండి Feb 29 లోపల ఉందా ఆ పర్టికులర్ డేట్ అనేది, Jan 21st నుండి February 29th లోపల ఉందా, లేదు మార్చ్ 1st నుండి December 31st లోపల ఉందా అనే కండిషన్ వరకు మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. ఐ రిపీట్, సో ఫస్ట్ ఏ ఇయర్ అయినా మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సింది ఏంటంటే ఫస్ట్ లీప్ ఇయర్ కాదా అనేది చెక్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. లీప్ ఇయర్ నో అన్నప్పుడు ఏం చేయాల్సిందే రెగ్యులర్ మెథడ్లో మీరు వెళ్ళిపోవచ్చు. జస్ట్ ద ప్రొసీజర్ వాట్ ఐ హ్యావ్ గివెన్. ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ అ లీప్ ఇయర్ దెన్ మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సిందంటే వన్స్ అగైన్ Jan 1st నుండి Feb 29th లోపల ఈ పర్టికులర్ డేట్ ఉందా, లేదు March 1st నుండి December 31st లోపల ఉందా అనేది మీరు చెక్ చేసుకోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది. దెన్ వాట్ ఈస్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ అని చెప్పి మీరు నన్ను అడిగారంటే, యూజువల్గా లీప్ ఇయర్ అంటే మనం Jan 1st నుంచి కన్సిడర్ చేస్తాం, కాదు లీప్ ఇయర్ అనేది March 1st అనేది స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. జస్ట్ బికాస్ ఆ పర్టికులర్ డే అనేది మనకు February 29th మాత్రమే యాడ్ అవుతుంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనకు నియరెస్ట్ లీప్ ఇయర్ ఏది అని మీరు చూసినట్లయితే 2016 is going to be the leap year. It's a leap year. And next మనం చూసినట్లయితే 2020 is going to be the leap year. ఆల్ రైట్, సో ఈ పర్టికులర్ విషయానికి మనకు వస్తే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇప్పుడు నేను 16 Jan 2016 అనే డేట్ని మనం ఎలా సాల్వ్ చేయాలి, లెట్స్ సే 16 March 2016 అనేది ఎలా సాల్వ్ చేయాలనేది మీరు తెలుసుకోవాలి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇప్పుడు లీప్ ఇయర్ ఎస్ అని చెక్ చేశారంటే ఎస్ లీప్ ఇయర్ ఎస్. సో లీప్ ఇయర్ కండిషన్ ఎలా చెక్ చేయాలి అనేది మనం నేర్చుకోవాలి ఫస్ట్ థింగ్. అది డిస్కస్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఈ రెండు పార్ట్స్ మనం డిస్కస్ చేయొచ్చు. సో లీప్ ఇయర్ కండిషన్ మీరు ఎలా చెక్ చేస్తారంటే రిమెంబర్ ఆల్ ద 4 మల్టిపుల్స్ ఆర్ లీప్ ఇయర్స్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32 all the 4 multiples are leap years. But all the century years are not leap years. అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇప్పుడు all the 4 multiples leap years అంటే ఏమవుతుంది 4, 8, 12 16, 20, 24, 28, 32 it goes on. ఇవన్నీ లీప్ ఇయర్సే. బట్ సెంచురీ ఇయర్స్ అన్ని సెంచురీ ఇయర్స్ లీప్ ఇయర్స్ కాదు. అంటే సెంచురీ ఇయర్స్ అంటే ఏంటి, సో సింపుల్, ద ఇయర్ దట్ ఎండ్స్ విత్ 00. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 1000, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 2200, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 2000. సో ఇవన్నీ వీటిని ఏమంటారంటే సెంచురీ ఇయర్స్ అంటారు. ఒక పర్టికులర్ ఇయర్ 00తో ఎండ్ అయితే 100 ఇస్ అ సెంచురీ ఇయర్, 200 ఇస్ అ సెంచురీ ఇయర్, 300 ఇస్ అ సెంచురీ ఇయర్, ఇలా ఇది వెళ్తూ ఉంటుంది. అవునా? సో 4 అనేది ఈవెన్ దో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 100 అనేది ఈవెన్ దో ఇట్ ఇస్ డివిజిబుల్ బై 4. యూజువల్గా లీప్ ఇయర్ కండిషన్ అయితే 4తో డివైడ్ అయితే మనం లీప్ ఇయర్ అని చెప్తాం. అది అలా కాదు. సో యూ నీడ్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ దిస్ క్లియర్లీ. అన్ని 4తో డివిజిబుల్ అయ్యే ఇయర్స్ అన్ని లీప్ ఇయర్స్ కావు. ఓకే, ఫస్ట్ పాయింట్, 4 మల్టిపుల్స్ అన్ని లీప్ ఇయర్సే. బట్ అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం సెంచురీ ఇయర్స్ వచ్చేంత వరకు మనకి ఇంకొక కండిషన్ ఉంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 100 అనే ఇయర్ మీరు తీసుకుందాం, అండ్ ఇయర్ 200 తీసుకుందాం, ఇయర్ 300 తీసుకుందాం, ఇయర్ 400 తీసుకుందాం. సి 100 is divisible by 4, so but it is not a leap year. 200 is divisible by 4, but it's not a leap year. 300 is divisible by 4, it's not a leap year. సో సెంచురీ ఇయర్స్ వచ్చేసరికి మీరు ఏం చెక్ చేయాలి అంటే 4తో చెక్ చేయకూడదు, మీరు 400తో చెక్ చేయాలి. 400తో కండిషన్ చెక్ చేయాలి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను ఇప్పుడు ఇయర్ 1200 సెంచురీ ఇది ఒక లీప్ ఇయరా కాదని చెక్ చేస్తే ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ డివైడ్ ఇట్ బై 4తో డివైడ్ చేయదు, జస్ట్ బికాస్ ఇట్స్ అ సెంచురీ ఇయర్. సెంచురీ ఇయర్ అంటే 00 ఎండింగ్ ఇయర్. 00 ఎండింగ్ ఇయర్ని మీరు దేంతో చెక్ చేయాలంటే 400తో చెక్ చేయాలి. సో ఇట్ ఇస్ 400 3s are 1200. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆబ్వియస్లీ 0. ఇట్స్ అ లీప్ ఇయర్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇప్పుడు ఇయర్ 1300 తీసుకుందాం. 1300 లీప్ ఇయర్ అంటే మీరు 4తో డివైడ్ చేస్తే రిమైండర్ 0నే వస్తుంది. బట్ డోంట్ డూ దట్. 00 ఎండింగ్ కాబట్టి మీరు 400తో చేయాలి. 400తో చేసినప్పుడు ఏమొస్తుంది? 400 3s are 1200. రిమైండర్ ఎంత? 100. ట్రై టు అండర్స్టాండ్, ఇయర్ 1300 ఇస్ నాట్ అ లీప్ ఇయర్. సో నార్మల్ ఇయర్స్ అయితే లాస్ట్ 2 డిజిట్స్ని మీరు 4తో డివైడ్ చేస్తే సరిపోతుంది. సెంచురీ ఇయర్స్ అంటే ఎస్పెషలీ సెంచురీ ఇయర్స్ అన్నప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే మీరు 400తో డివైడ్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 2000 ఇస్ ద బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. 2000 ఇయర్ అనేది 4తో డివైడ్ చేయదని 400తో చేయండి. ఎస్, 400 into 5 2000. ఇట్స్ అ లీప్ ఇయర్. బట్ ఇయర్ 2100 తీసుకుందాం. 2100 ఇట్ ఇస్ డివిజిబుల్ బై 4, బట్ స్టిల్ ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఎ లీప్ ఇయర్. ఎందుకంటే 00 ఎండింగ్ ఇయర్ అయితే మనం 400తో డివైడ్ చేయాలి. 400తో మీరు డివైడ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే మీకు 100 అనే రిమైండర్ వస్తుంది. ఇట్ ఇస్ నాట్ ఎ లీప్ ఇయర్. ఆల్రైట్, సో దిస్ ఇస్ హౌ యూ డీల్ విత్ ద లీప్ ఇయర్. నా సో లీప్ ఇయర్ ఎలా ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలని చెప్పి మనం చూసాం కదా. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఏం చేయాలి అంటే, సో లీప్ ఇయర్ చెక్ చేశారు. సో లీప్ ఇయర్ ఎస్ అనే కండిషన్ వచ్చిందని తీసుకుందాం ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. సో లీప్ ఇయర్ ఎస్ అనే కండిషన్ చెక్ చేశారు అంటే మీరు నెక్స్ట్ కండిషన్ చెక్ చేయాల్సింది ఏంటంటే ఇచ్చిన ఆ డేట్ Jan 1st నుండి February 29 లోపల ఉందా, లేదు March 1st నుండి December 1st లోపల ఉందా అనేది మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. సో టెక్నికలీ లీప్ ఇయర్ స్టార్ట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ March 1st. మీరు 2016 ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను ఇందాక చెప్పాను మీకు. మీరు 2016 Jan క్యాలెండర్ తీసుకున్నా, 2015 Jan క్యాలెండర్ తీసుకున్నా. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఎలా అంటే 2016లో జనవరిలో మీరు ఎన్ని డేస్ ఉంటుందంటే 31 డేస్ ఉంటుంది. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం 2015 క్యాలెండర్లో జనవరి ఎన్ని డేస్ ఉంటుందంటే 31 డేస్ ఉంటుంది. సో టోటల్ కౌంట్ అనేది సేమ్ ఉంటుంది. బట్ మీకు క్యాలెండర్ డిఫరెన్స్ ఎప్పుడు వస్తుందంటే మీరు Jan 1st నుండి March 1st దాకా లీప్ ఇయర్లో ఎన్ని డేస్ ఉన్నాయి, Jan 1st నుండి March 1st దాకా నాన్ లీప్ ఇయర్లో ఎన్ని డేస్ ఉన్నాయని చూసినప్పుడు టోటల్ కౌంట్ చేంజ్ అవుతుంది. సో టెక్నికలీ లీప్ ఇయర్ స్టార్ట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ March 1st ఆన్వర్డ్స్. సో ఎప్పుడైతే మీకు లీప్ ఇయర్ అయ్యింది, ఇయర్ లీప్ ఇయర్ అయ్యింది, డేట్ Jan 1st నుండి Feb 29 దాకా ఉందో మీకు వచ్చిన ఆన్సర్ని యూ హ్యావ్ టు డూ -1. మీకు వచ్చిన ఆన్సర్ని యూ హ్యావ్ టు డూ -1. ఇఫ్ ద గివెన్ డేట్ ఇస్ ఇన్ బిట్వీన్ March 1st December 31st, నో నీడ్ టు డూ ఎనీథింగ్, జస్ట్ గో హెడ్ యాజ్ ఇట్ ఇస్. ఆల్రైట్, దీనికి నేను ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఇప్పుడు మీకు చెప్తాను. లెట్స్ స్టార్ట్ విత్ నేను 2 డేట్స్ తీసుకుంటాను ఇప్పుడు. లెట్స్ స్టార్ట్ విత్ సి 1st Jan 2000. 1st Jan 2000 తీసుకుందాం. అండ్ దెన్ అనదర్ డేట్ విచ్ ఇస్ 1st March 2000. ఆల్రైట్, వాట్స్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ అనేది మనం ఇప్పుడు చెక్ చేద్దాం. నా ఇది మీరు చూసినట్లయితే ఇది ఫస్ట్ స్లాట్లో ఉంది. అంటే Jan 1st నుండి February 29 దాకా ఇది ఉంది. ఇదేంటంటే March 1st నుండి December 31st మధ్యలో ఒక డేట్ ఇది. ఆల్రైట్, మీకు ఇంకా కన్ఫ్యూజన్ వద్దు అనుకుంటే మీరు 5 తీసుకోవచ్చు. Alright, 5th Jan 2000 and 5th March 2000. Alright, now first thing, just check whether the given year is a leap year or not. Obviously it's a leap year. Endukante it's a century ending year. So century ending year ante I need to divide this year using 400. Am I right? So it is 5 2000 and it's done. Yes, it's a leap year. So don't divide it with 4. Alright, now what should we do? Let's start with, so 5th Jan 2000 ఏ డేట్లో వస్తుంది. వాట్ వాజ్ ద డే ఆన్ 5th Jan 2000. సో ఇన్ సచ్ కేస్ ఇది మీరు ఎలా సర్చ్ చేస్తారంటే గివెన్ డేట్ విచ్ ఇస్ 5, గివెన్ డేట్ 5 ప్లస్ మంత్ కోడ్. సో మంత్ కోడ్ ఆఫ్ Jan it is 00. Am I right? 033. That's what I said. So 00 ప్లస్ సెంచరీ కోడ్. సెంచరీ కోడ్ 2000 మీకు ఏం చెప్పాను? It is 06. Am I right? So 2000 నుండి 2019 వరకు it's going to be 6. Then ప్లస్ లాస్ట్ 2 digits ఆఫ్ ద గివెన్ ఇయర్. ఈ క్వశ్చన్ మీకు వచ్చి ఉంటుంది. లాస్ట్ 2 digits 00, నో చేంజెస్ అట్ ఆల్. ప్లస్ ఈ పర్టికులర్ క్వశ్చన్ మీ యొక్క క్వశ్చన్స్ అన్నిటినీ సాల్వ్ చేస్తుంది, మీ మైండ్లో రన్ అయ్యే క్వశ్చన్స్ అన్నిటినీ ఈ పర్టికులర్ క్వశ్చన్ సాల్వ్ చేస్తుంది. సో గివెన్ డేట్ 5 Jan కోడ్ 00 అండ్ దెన్ ఇట్ ఇస్ 06 ఏంటంటే సెంచరీ కోడ్, లాస్ట్ 2 digits ఇక్కడ 00 ఏం లేదు, అండ్ దెన్ 00 4 multiples ఉంటాయి అంటే no 4 multiples at all, 00 just by 7, that's it, no change at all. Am I right? Now so which is 5 plus 6 అంటే మీతో అన్ని జీరోస్ ఉన్నాయి ఇక్కడ. 5 plus 6 మీరు చూసినట్లయితే 11 by 7 and 11 by 7 what's the remainder? 11 by 7 the remainder is 4. 11 by 7 the remainder is 4. But so as I told you, ఒకవేళ Jan 1st నుండి February 29th లోపల డేట్ ఉంటే యూ హ్యావ్ టు డూ -1. సో మీరు ఇలా ఈ పర్టికులర్ మెథడ్లో మీరు చేసినప్పుడు 4 అనే ఆన్సర్ రిమైండర్ మీకు వస్తుంది. 4 అనే ఆన్సర్ మీకు వచ్చిందంటే యాజ్ యూజువల్ ఏముంటుంది, ఇట్స్ థర్స్డే. బట్ మీ క్యాలెండర్ చెక్ చేసి ఇది థర్స్డే ఉండదు ఈ పర్టికులర్, ఎందుకంటే ఇది లీప్ ఇయర్ కేసు ఉంది. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఇదేమో 1st Jan నుండి Feb 29th Feb అనే కేసులో ఉంది. సో ఇన్ సచ్ కేస్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు డూ -1 విచ్ ఇస్, సో రిమైండర్ ఏదైతే మీకు వస్తుందో దానికి మీరు -1 చేయాలి. దానికి మీరు -1 చేస్తే విల్ గెట్ ద రిమైండర్ as 3. సో 3 is obviously Wednesday. మీరు క్యాలెండర్ చెక్ చేసినట్టయితే ఇట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి Wednesday, ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ Thursday. Alright, now let's see how this works. Guys, it is so simple. It's March. Am I right? It's March, and at the same time ఇది 1st March నుండి లీప్ ఇయర్ కేసు ఇది. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైమ్ 1st March నుండి December 31st లోపల ఉండే కేసు. Here no need to do -1, just go ahead as it is. Now let's do this. It's going to be 05. So 05 is the given date, and March obviously 0336. And what is the March? It is 3. The code is 3. Am I right? For March it is code 3 plus century, same thing here. Century code it is 06 plus last 2 digits 00 plus last two, number of 4 multiples in the last 2 digits of given year, it is 00 by 7. By 7. Now just add all the things here. 5 plus 3 it is 8. And obvious 5 plus 3 it is 8, and 8 plus 6 it is 14. So 14 by 7, and the answer is here reminder is 0 means Sunday. No need to change anything. Please don't do -1 here just because it's a leap year condition, and leap year condition లో ఇది మీరు చూసినట్లయితే మన సెకండ్ స్లాట్ లో ఉంది, అంటే 1st March నుండి December 31st March లోపల ఉంది కాబట్టి don't do -1, just leave as it is. So Sunday's answer. Alright, so from this what I'm trying to say is, first starting లో మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సింది ఏంటంటే లీప్ ఇయరా కాదా. లీప్ ఇయర్ అయింది అంటే లీప్ ఇయర్ కాలేదు అంటే నో నీడ్ టు డూ ఎనీథింగ్, జస్ట్ ఫాలో ద ప్రొసీజర్ వాట్ ఎవర్ ఐ సెడ్. సో గివెన్ డేట్ ప్లస్ సెంచరీ కోడ్ ప్లస్ మంత్ కోడ్ ప్లస్ లాస్ట్ 2 digits of the given year ప్లస్ number of 4 multiples in the last 2 digits of the given year by 7. Whatever the remainder you get, just convert into day and then put the answer. Now if it's a leap year, you need to check one thing. A leap year lo entante first year మీరు చెక్ చేసేటప్పుడు సెంచరీ ఇయర్ కాదు అంటే just divided by 4 and just check. If it's a century year last 2 digits 00 అయింది అంటే you have to divide it by 400, and you need to understand whether it's a leap year or not. So 2000 కాబట్టి I've divided it by 400 and I know it's a leap year. Fantastic. So leap year నేను తెలుసుకున్న తర్వాత నేను చెక్ చేయాల్సిన కండిషన్ అంటే 1st January నుండి February 29th వరకు ఉన్న డేట్స్, లేదంటే 1st March నుండి December 31st వరకు ఉందని చెప్పి. సో హియర్ ఇన్ దిస్ కేస్ ఐ నో ఇట్స్ 1st January to 29th February మధ్యలో ఉంది కాబట్టి డెఫినెట్లీ వాట్ ఎవర్ ద రిమైండర్ ఐ గెట్ ఐ నీడ్ టు సబ్ట్రాక్ట్ మై 1 from that so that I'll get the answer. If it is from 1st March to December 31st, no need to change any, just proceed as it is. Alright, I hope you understand how this works. Now the next question, the next concept, calendars లోనే ఇంకో కొన్ని 2-3 చిన్న కాన్సెప్ట్స్ ఉన్నాయి which you need to find out. Let's see. Let's say today is actually today is Tuesday, but today is Monday. See, don't ask me, sir, today is not Monday, but just for an assumption, my exam style vastundi, today is Monday. So what will be the day after today is Monday, full stop. What will be the day after, let's say 40 days? What will be the day after 40 days? Okay, today is Monday. What will be the day after 40 days? It is so simple. See, today Monday, 40 days తర్వాత ఏంటి అంటే, in the sense count down ఈ రోజు నుంచే స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. మండే అనేది 1, ట్యూస్డే అనేది 2 ఇలా వెళ్తుంది 40 డేస్ తర్వాత ఏంటి అని. సో రిమెంబర్ ఆఫ్టర్ 40 డేస్ అంటే రిమెంబర్ దే ఆర్ ఆస్కింగ్ 41st డే. 40th డే మీరు ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, 41st డే మాత్రమే మీరు ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. ఆల్రైట్, సో ఆఫ్టర్ 40 డేస్ అంటే 41st డే ఏమొస్తుందని చెప్పి. ఇన్ సచ్ కేస్ ఇట్ ఇస్ సో సింపుల్. సో జస్ట్ రైట్ డౌన్ 40 అండ్ వి నో దట్ 1 వీక్ 7 days. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఈరోజు మండే అంటే ఆఫ్టర్ 7 days ఇట్స్ గోయింగ్ టు బి మండే వన్స్ అగైన్. సో ఈరోజు ట్యూస్డే అంటే ఆఫ్టర్ 7 days. సో 7 days తర్వాత డేస్ అనేది మీకు రిపీట్ అవుతుంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ డే 1 అనేది మండే అంటే డే 8 అనేది కూడా మండే వస్తుంది. డే 1 అనేది ట్యూస్డే అంటే డే 8 కూడా, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ డే 2 ట్యూస్డే అంటే డే 9 + 7 డే 9 కూడా ట్యూస్డేనే. సో +7 చేస్తే అదే వస్తుంది. ఇన్ సచ్ కేస్ 740. సో 7 excuse me, so 7 5s are 35. So what's the remainder here? 5. So if you observe రిమైండర్ ఎంత 5 కదా. సో మండే మనం స్టార్ట్ చేసాం కౌంట్ డౌన్. సో మండే డే 1 అంటే డే 1 మండే. సో డే 2 ఏమవుతుంది? ఇట్ ఇస్ ట్యూస్డే. డే 3 ఏమవుతుంది? ఇట్ ఇస్ వెన్స్డే. డే 4 ఏమవుతుంది? థర్స్డే. డే 5 ఏమవుతుంది? ఫ్రైడే. అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ ద ఆన్సర్. సో 5 వచ్చింది కాబట్టి జస్ట్ రిలేటెడ్ టు డే 5. ఆల్ రైట్, ఐ రిపీట్ ఇట్ వన్ మోర్ క్వశ్చన్. ఇట్స్ వెరీ సింపుల్ లాజిక్. లెట్స్ సే all right, let's see another question. Today is Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. What will be the day after 110 days? After 110 days. Today is Wednesday. 110 days. 110 days తర్వాత ఏం డే అని చెప్పి మిమ్మల్ని అడుగుతారు. సో సింపుల్, జస్ట్ రిమెంబర్ డే 1 ఏంటి కౌంట్ డౌన్ ఈ రోజు నుంచి.
Welcome to Web Technologies training program. Today we are going to start the new module, that is TypeScript. After few days we will complete the TypeScript and then we will move to Angular. Actually we are learning the TypeScript because of Angular. So the Angular, which is also called as Angular framework, requires the TypeScript language to be used. So before understanding the Angular, it is must to understand the TypeScript language. That's why today we are exactly starting the TypeScript language. So what is the TypeScript? It is an extension to JavaScript. All the existing concepts of JavaScript, in addition to that, some additional features have been added. That is what the TypeScript is. So the existing concepts of JavaScript includes the variables, operators, control statements, arrays, functions, objects, and DOM manipulations, and some other miscellaneous topics in addition. So all these existing concepts as it is carry forwarded to TypeScript. Additionally, it provides some extra concepts, that is class based object oriented programming. That means we are going to create the classes. Based on the classes we are going to create objects. In addition to that, inheritance, interfaces, this type of topics also have been added to the TypeScript. So the Angular relies on the TypeScript language, TypeScript relies on the JavaScript language. That means indirectly, for understanding the Angular, TypeScript is required. So directly TypeScript is required and indirectly JavaScript is required. So we have completed the level 1, that is understanding the JavaScript. Now we are going to enter into the level number 2, that is TypeScript, and then we will go to level 3, that is Angular. So now let us try to understand why we have to go for the TypeScript. Well, in JavaScript, if you talk about an object, what kind of members does it contain? What are the list of properties and methods does the object contains in JavaScript is unpredictable. So we cannot say exactly these methods or these properties exist in the object. So there is no fixation, there is no possibility of fixing the particular properties and methods. So being a common JavaScript developer, if you are calling a method, you are not sure whether the method exists or not. If the method exists, it will execute. If the method does not execute, you will get error. So this is the main problem for the JavaScript developers. But in TypeScript, we are going to create the classes first. In the class itself, we are fixing, okay, these are the properties and methods. Those same properties and methods only will be given to objects. So we are sure that these properties and methods exist in the corresponding object. We can create any number of objects based on the same class. So all those objects will have same number of properties, same number of methods, and same list of list and data types also. So this is one main advantage of going for TypeScript. Additionally, TypeScript, the name itself is saying that it is supporting the data types concept. So that means we are able to declare a variable or property based on the particular data type. For example, we can say this X is a variable, this is a number data type. This Y is a variable, this is a string data type. We can specify the exact data type for a variable. So throughout the entire lifetime of the entire application till end of the program, it is containing the same type of value. It is not possible to change the data type. But in JavaScript, we cannot say exact data type. We can assign any type of value to the variable in JavaScript, but it is not possible in the TypeScript. As a result, we are sure that this particular value is of this type, this nature, may be a number or string, whatever. Then we can write the code confidently. For example, if it is a number, we can perform some mathematical operations. If it is a string, we can use the string based methods such as the substring, index of, etc. So we are very clear what we are trying to write. So we are 100% sure that the code executes guarantee in all the situations. So that is the reason the TypeScript is better than the JavaScript. So TypeScript is not a completely an independent language. It is a new language introduced based on the existence of the JavaScript. And one more thing we have to understand here. TypeScript cannot run alone. TypeScript must be converted into equivalent JavaScript code. Suppose we have written a statement called var x :number. So the colon number is a data type here that is possible in TypeScript, but after converting into JavaScript, it will be converted as var x. That's all. That means the data types will be skipped here. What of the data types exist in the TypeScript language, that will be skipped. So in that way, the TypeScript code cannot execute on its own, will be converted into JavaScript. The JavaScript code can be executed either on the server side or by using client side. If it is on the server side, we have to use Node.js in order to execute the JavaScript on the server side. If you want to execute on the client, nothing but the browser, already we are using the script src equal to some file name. So this is how we work with the TypeScript. Anyway, it is generally optional to use the TypeScript language, but in Angular perspective, it is must to use the TypeScript language. So that's all. Now let us enter into the practical development of the TypeScript. So let's get started. First we have to go to nodejs.com, nodejs.org. Once we enter into this site nodejs.org/en, we have to click on current version of Node.js, that is 10.10.0, and we are downloading a file called node-10.10.0 x64.msi. So meanwhile, let me explain the reason why we are going to install Node.js. So the reason why we are going to install Node.js, there are two reasons. One is to install TypeScript, and in order to execute the TypeScript. These two are the main reasons why we are going to install Node.js in our machine now. So why we require to install the Node.js in order to work with the TypeScript? The reason, the TypeScript itself is available as a npm package. Npm package can be downloaded only through Node.js. So you must be having Node.js installed on your machine in order to work with a package manager tool called npm, and npm is the only way to install the TypeScript on your machine. So that is the reason first we have to install Node.js, and then we have to install TypeScript through npm. When npm is available on your machine only after installing Node.js. So that is the reason why we are installing the Node.js. That is the first reason. The second reason, okay, meanwhile let me click on this next button, check the checkbox I accept the terms in the license agreement, click on next, keep the default path as it is, click on next and click on next. So no need of changing any settings, directly we are able to click next kind of installation. Now, so how do we execute the TypeScript? First we are converting TypeScript to JavaScript, then we are executing TypeScript on server. So in order to execute the JavaScript, in order to execute the JavaScript on the server, we require the Node.js. But how we are getting the JavaScript code? We are not directly writing the JavaScript code. We are basically writing the TypeScript, but TypeScript is being converted into JavaScript, and JavaScript is being executed on the server. So these two are the reasons why we are going to install the Node.js in our machine. One is to install the TypeScript, other one is to execute the TypeScript program on your machine. Now let's try to understand what are the common topics between the the TypeScript and the JavaScript. So JavaScript and TypeScript, the common topics. One is the variables, operators, control statements, arrays, functions, objects. These are the common topics between the JavaScript and TypeScript language. Let's click on yes in the security control warning. Right. So these are the main common topics between JavaScript and TypeScript. But here, in addition to these regular objects that we have already created, that means in addition to the JavaScript objects, we have TypeScript additional topics. TS means TypeScript. So the first one, the classes, second one, objects based on classes. We are able to create a class. Based on the class, we are able to create objects, and also inheritance, interfaces, and also the modules. These are the main topics that are available in TypeScript. So these topics needs to be learned for a developer in order to enter into the Angular. So now let's understand what is a class. A class is a model of objects. So what kind of members we are going to create inside the object that we can define by using a model. So let's understand these classes versus objects in detail. Now if you take any real physical item that is an object, for example, you are yourself is an object, your room is an object, your phone is an object, your laptop is an object. Everything, every physical thing is an object that has a specific list of properties and methods, whereas properties are the details, methods are the operations that can be based on that can be done based on that. But here the role of the classes is, classes define the commonalities of all the objects. For example, I am an object, you are an object. Both are individual lives, but I can see, you can see. I can write, you can write. I can read, you can read. So these are the commonalities. The commonalities of all the objects have been defined by the class. So here class person is a class here, and I am a person, so I am an object. You are another person, so you are another object. For example, city is a class, Hyderabad is one object, and Bangalore is another object. So any physical item, any real item is object, its a type is a class. So here how to create the class is, we have to create the class by using the class keyword. First we have to mention the class keyword in order to create the class. That means we are saying that, hey compiler, we are going to create a class. Then followed by we have to provide the name of the class. Then inside the class braces we have to provide the list of properties and methods that you are willing to have in the objects. Many people think that class is a collection of properties and methods, but in fact object is a collection of properties and methods. Class just tell the list of properties and methods which are commonly applicable for all the objects of a same type. For example, all the students are having which properties, which methods, that is defined by the student class. Which properties, which methods available in all the employee objects, defined by employee class. The commonalities can be provided by the class, but the class doesn't point to a fixed particular physical item. For example, the student class doesn't point out a specific student. The specific student can be pointed out based on the object. Object represents a physical item, class is the model of that. Let us see practically how to create the classes. So in order to create the class, we have to provide a class, class name. Inside the class, we are going to define the properties and methods. So first we are saying that it's a class. Then we have to provide a name of the class. The class name can be anything. Inside that we are trying to have the properties and methods. Right. So what is a property? Property is a variable that is a part of object. Variable inside the object is a property. Properties are used to store details about the objects. Properties are the details about the object. Syntax to declare a property is, first we have to provide the access modifier, data type, then property name. First property name, colon, and then we have to provide the data type. Okay, meanwhile the Node.js installation finished. It is saying Node.js successfully installed. So finish. Okay, let's come back. So here the access modifier is nothing but access specifier, which specifies where we can access this member, either private or public or protected. Access modifier specifies access permissions. We have 3: private, public and protected. Either of these we can provide here. And then this property name can be anything. We can provide any name, for example XYZ. The data type can be anything. For example, you can give number, string, anything. List of data types in TypeScript, that is for all the numbers, number data type, for all the string values, string data type, boolean, object, any. Okay, these are the main list of data types in TypeScript. So we can give any data type here, any property name and any access modifier. Okay, now let's try to practically see how to create these properties. So first we have installed the Node.js already. Then we have to open your command prompt window. If you can scroll down, go to command prompt. Once we click on command prompt, here is a prompt C:users Harsha. Here Harsha is nothing but my username. So in your system it will show your username. So whatever it is, just I have to install TypeScript package. In order to install TypeScript, just we have to provide npm install TypeScript. But I want to install globally. So that's why I'm providing -g npm. Hey Node.js package manager, install a package for me. What is the name of the package? TypeScript. Globally I want to install. So within a few seconds the package will be downloaded from internet and will be installed on your local machine. Okay, it is on the progress. Now the TypeScript package has been installed globally on your machine. Here globally means from any directory, from any folder, you will be able to access your package, not only from the current working folder. And it is recommended to create a new folder for TypeScript. So I just go to C:new folder. Name of the folder is TypeScript. I'm going to store all the TypeScript programs in the same folder, that is C:TypeScript folder. So once we have this, okay, now we have installed the TypeScript. After that, how to create the file in this folder? So C:TypeScript, go to Visual Studio Code, go to new file. We are going to declare a file. For example, I am going to declare a variable called where the name of the variable is x. It is wanting to store the number, so number data type 10. That's all. We have successfully declared a variable called x of number data type. Let me increase the screen font size. Okay, I'm giving 24. Okay, so x is number data type. That means x is the name of the variable, its data type is number. So see, we have fixed the particular data type for the variable. So through the entire lifetime of the entire program, this x will contain only the number, is not able to contain any other than that. For example, if you assign x equal to some abc, that means a string data type value, it is not allowed. In JavaScript it is absolutely allowed, but in TypeScript not allowed, because we have clearly mentioned it's a number data type. So, but it is not an error after converting the same into JavaScript. Before converting only it is an error. After converting into JavaScript it is not at all an error. Okay, let me save this. C:TypeScript, file name first.html, sorry, not html, .ts we have to provide. File extension should be first.ts. I'm going to delete this HTML file, we don't need it. We have first.ts file only. See, it is an error. ABC cannot be assigned to a value of a string data type. It must be a number. But we are able to read the value any number of times. Just I'm printing the value twice. But how do we see the output of this? First we have to compile, right? So in order to compile, first we have to enter into the particular location where the file is present, that is C:TypeScript. Now we are in the C:TypeScript location. In the same location only our file, that is first.ts, is present. So in order to compile it, tsc file name, that is first.ts. tsc is the name of the compiler here, which is called TypeScript compiler. File name is first.ts. So it is going to read this first.ts file internally and it will automatically generate the first.js file. So this first.js file contains the following code. Let me open and show the code to you. If we just open first.js code here, it contains probably the same code but except the data type. See, we have the data type in the first.ts file, but we don't have the data type in the JS file. That's what I'm saying. Data types are supported in the TypeScript, but not by JavaScript. So while converting from TypeScript to JavaScript, the data type gets removed. Even the classes, objects, whichever the concepts are additionally supported by the TypeScript language, all those will be converted into equivalent concepts in objects, equivalent concepts in JavaScript while converting into JavaScript. So let me execute this. In order to execute this, we have to provide the command node first.js. This command node will compile, will execute the JS file so that we can see the value 10 and 10. So this is how we execute a basic program. Now let us try to create a class, and based on the class let us try to prepare some manipulations. For example, I would like to create a student class. Student is the name of the class. Student ID is a property which stored the ID number of the student. Next, name of the student, and then marks. And we have a method called getResult. It is recommended to follow the method names also caps. Okay, no, method names also should be lowercase, starts with lowercase. Okay, so we have a list of properties and methods: student ID, student name, and marks. These are the properties. GetResult is going to be the method. So observe this. It has 3 properties and 1 method. Why these are properties? Because these are just values. These are just wanting to store the value. But why the getResult is a method? We are trying to perform some manipulation based on that, some operation, some work. So let's create a new file. I'm going to give the file name as student.ts. You have to explicitly provide a .ts file extension, and we have to save it in SQL and TypeScript folder. And in this, I'm going to create a file called, I'm going to create a class called student. And inside the student, we are going to declare the properties student ID, student name, and marks. And also we should have a method called getResult. So getResult is a method. See, the declaration of the properties are like, first we have to provide access modifier, right? What is access modifier? Here, private, public, protected are the 3 available, but public is default here. If you don't provide any access modifier, default is public. So we have to provide public. It is optional. If you don't provide also, it is by default treated as a public. Then we have to mention that property name followed by the data type. So we can use the data types called number, string, boolean, object, any. So if you want to store an object of a particular class, we can provide object, or we can use the name of the class also as a data type. Then remaining we can understand string is a string collection of characters, boolean is true or false, any means any type of value. Even can be used for storing object literals inside the properties. Now getResult is the name of the method which is calculating the marks and finding out the result. Assume some values have been filled by the student. So the student will enter his marks, for example 80 or 90 or whatever. Then we have to check it. If this dot marks, don't forget the code this dot. This means current working object. So if the first object is called, that means first student has called this method, this keyword is representing the first student. The second student is representing the method, then this keyword is representing the second student. So whichever the student has called this method, the same student is represented as this. In simple words, this means current object. So inside the current object, we have the property called marks, and we want to check it. If it is greater than or equal to 35, then we are going to return the value pass, otherwise fail. Optionally, we can specify the data type or return type of this method by giving colon. We are going to return a string value, right? So we can provide like string value. That's all. The class has been developed, but if you can execute this, compile and execute student.ts and then node student.ts, sorry, JS, we are not executing anything because internally just we have created a class, we have not yet created any objects and we have not called any properties or methods. In order to create object, we have to provide new followed by the class name, that is student. Then we are going to store the details, that is S1, S2, like this. We can create any number of objects by using this new syntax. The new is a fixed keyword in order to create the object. The object can be created based on the class. So new student will follow the same properties and methods whatever declared in the class. Here we are declaring the student ID, student name and marks, get result, all these properties, right? All these properties will be loaded into the new student object. That means the object look like this. Object of student class. It has the student ID, student name, marks, get result, all these properties and methods. Its reference must be stored inside the variable called S1, based on which you can refer to the same object in future. First we have to store the object result in a, object reference in a variable, then we are able to use the same object, we are able to use the same reference variable in order to access the object. Then we can pass the value student ID number is equal to 101, student name is equal to ABC, marks is equal to 80, student ID, second student, 102, student name XYZ, marks equal to 24. Now we are going to print the details about these students. So console.log of s1.student ID, student name and marks. Okay, I am going to print a separate line just for understanding, and I am printing the second student details. So now just compile tsc student.ts node student.js. Then we are getting the details about the student, that is the first student details and second student details, whereas first student is pass, second student is fail. So overall have a look at once. So class student, that means we are going to create a class called student. Inside the class we are going to create the properties and methods. Student ID, student name, marks are the properties. Get result is the method. Then we have the set of properties and methods here. We have assigned the values into the properties and then we are calling the same properties and same methods. Okay, but instead of repeatedly writing the same code for initializing the values for every object, we are able to use the common place, that is the constructor. So let's understand what is constructor. A constructor is a special type of method of the class. A constructor is used to initialize the data of the object. When an object is born, somebody has to initialize it. Somebody has to store some initial values in the respective properties. It is like, for example, you have purchased an empty hard disk. 1 TB hard disk is there, so there is no data inside it by default. We have to initialize it. We have to store some data inside it. We have to load some data inside it. To load the data into the object, we have to use the constructor. So constructor is a special function. The name of the constructor should be constructor. It's a fixed name, constructor. Irrespective of the class name, the constructor name should be constructor. And ID by default it is always public. Constructor can receive arguments but cannot return the value. Generally, a constructor receives some arguments and initialize those values in the respective properties. So let's write the constructor to the same program. So here I am writing a constructor then we are going to receive three values, suppose like ABC, representing the student ID, student name, marks respectively. Then I am going to assign A into the student ID, that is this dot student ID is equal to A, this dot student name is equal to B, marks is equal to C. We have received three values and assign the same into respective properties, student ID, student name and marks. Then while creating the object, you must pass the values in the brackets. Which of the values you have passed in these brackets, those values will be received by the respective constructor, because new means creating object. As soon as we have created object, automatically the corresponding constructor will execute. For all the objects, same constructor will execute. It's not a one constructor for one object, other constructor for another object. For any object of the same class, the same constructor will execute. That's why the constructor is like a common place where you can write the initialization logic of all the objects one by one. But you must pass the values. Which of the values we are trying to assign below, those values you are directly providing. We have given 101, ABC and AT. These three values will be assigned into respective ABC variables and then will be stored in the respective properties, and the same we are getting in the output here. Similarly, let's pass the different values here. See, we can initialize any values as per the requirement. That's why even though we can take the parameterless constructor without arguments, it is better to take the parameterized constructor, which helps you to create the to assign the values of your choice. Now execute this program. First we have to compile by giving the tsc student.ts, then we have to execute this node student.ts, then we are getting the particular file. So check the details, it is same as expected. So have a look at once in the class what kind of properties, constructor, methods we have created. The first part of the class is a properties declaration. Here we are going to specify the details about the properties, what kind of details you want to store inside the object. And here second part is the constructor, which is receiving three values and initializing them into the respective properties. Whichever the properties we have declared above, all of them we are going to initialize here. And then methods. Methods means manipulations such as calculation of result, calculation of total marks, calculation of percentage, calculation of grade, calculation of GPA. So any kind of calculation part coming under methods. Each individual calculation is called as a method, and we can call those methods by giving the brackets here. And we can keep creating any number of students like this. We have written the code for two students only, but in fact we can write the code for any number of students. But in a college or something, we will have some hundreds of or thousands of students. So writing the same code for all those number of students is not correct. That's why we are able to place a loop. So for example, we have number of students is equal to 10 or 1000, whichever the number you want, you can just assign. These many times you want to repeat the code. So that's why what will you do is that, so I'm just writing a loop here. So where I is equal to 0, I less than s1 dot n I plus plus. So this loop executes n number of times, where n is 1000 or 100 or whatever the number we have assigned. Suppose we have 1000 students, so 1000 times this for loop will repeat. Each time we have to enter the details. So we have to accept the details first from the keyboard. Like this, and then we are going to print it. So what happens is the same process will repeat hundreds of times, thousands of times, whichever the number we have given. So like this we are able to accept n number of objects, n number of details we are able to store. So a class is a group of properties, methods and constructor. The methods are used to manipulate the data, properties are used to initialize the data, and the constructor is used to initialize the data, properties are used to store the data. So we can create the classes any number of times. That means we can create any number of classes. Based on the class we can create any number of objects. The difference between the JavaScript and the TypeScript is, in JavaScript we can create the object independently without any class. The object was a free bird. Whatever the properties and methods it wants to have, it can have. But in TypeScript the objects are not open type. The objects are too restricted. Whichever the properties and methods we have declared in the class, same properties methods will be repeated in every object. That's what the main difference between the TypeScript and JavaScript. So it is must to understand the TypeScript classes before entering into Angular, because in Angular we will be using so many predefined classes, and also we have to create the user defined classes. In Angular particularly we are going to represent every individual part of the page as a component, and every component is basically a class. So first the developer should know what is a class, then only he can understand the component. So for example, we are going to create a navigation bar. Navigation bar is a part of the page, that means menu bar. The navigation bar is represented as a component there. What is component here? It's a class. So this is the style of development in Angular. That's why it is better to know, it is must to know about the classes and objects in Angular. So that's all about the TypeScript basics today. In the next lesson we will meet with some advanced topics in TypeScript. Thank you. Good afternoon students. In today's lesson we are going to understand TypeScript interfaces, inheritance and modules. If you recollect the last class, we have seen what is TypeScript and why we have to go for the TypeScript. What is TypeScript? TypeScript is an extensive language of JavaScript. That means what are the features we have in JavaScript, same features we are going to continue in the TypeScript. In addition to that, TypeScript provides some additional features. What are the main topics of TypeScript? Class-based object-oriented programming, interfaces, inheritance, and modules are the main important topics of the TypeScript. So in the last class, we have seen how to work with the TypeScript. That means how to create a simple program in TypeScript, how to compile it, how to execute it, and also how to work with the classes and objects of TypeScript. Coming to today's lesson, we are going to understand about the interfaces, modules and the inheritance. So first let me explain about the inheritance. Inheritance is one of the important object-oriented programming feature. Inheritance means the process of creating a class based on another class. The process of extending the existing class by creating a new class. The process of copying all the members of the parent into the child class. Here we have to use two types of classes, parent class and the child class. The parent class contains some properties and methods. These properties and methods of the parent will be automatically carried forwarded to the child class. For example, we have class A and class B. Class A has two members, ABC and XYZ. The class B by default contains these members. In addition to those two members, the class B can have additional extra properties and extra methods. So what are the existing properties methods we have in class A will be automatically carried forwarded to the class B, because class A is a parent, class B is a child. All the members of parent will be automatically given to the child. Additionally, some extra members can be added. So in case if you create an object for the parent class, only the parent properties, parent methods can be accessible. If you create object for the child class, we can access the parent members and child members. So the same child class object is able to access both the members. So in that way, it is a concept of reusability also. Like we are going to reuse the parent members in the child. Instead of declaring the same members in parent and child manually, if you can follow inheritance, the parent members will be automatically carry forward to the child. Let's try to understand how to create the parent-child relationship among the classes by using inheritance concept in TypeScript language. Let us see the syntaxes. So syntax of inheritance in TypeScript. The first step is create a parent class, parent class name, so in the parent class we need not follow any special syntax. The normal regular syntax is quite enough for us. Class name is quite enough for us. We are going to create a child class. So child class name. This child class should be the child of the corresponding parent. I want to specify that this is a parent, this is a child. But as of now, both are individual classes. Nothing is parent, nothing is child as of now. How do we make this as a parent? How do we make this class as a child? We have to add a keyword called extends keyword. Extends followed by the parent class name. So that means we are saying that this is the name of the child class which extends, which enhances, which inherits from a predefined an existing parent class, that is the parent class here. So if you create object for the parent class, only the parent members are accessible. If you create object for the child class, we can access both members, parent and child. Now let us try to understand how to create object for the parent class. Create object for parent class. New parent class. As we know already, the new keyword is used to create an object for the parent class, followed by the parent class name we have to provide. But this part will create an object for the class. That means an empty memory allocation will be allocated based on the existence of the parent class. What are the properties, methods we have declared in the parent class, those properties, methods will be exist in the object. Now we have to store this object reference inside a variable that is called reference variable. This variable is going to be the reference of this particular object, because this variable consists of some address that points to the particular object. Variable makes it easy to access the object. Object only contains real properties and methods. Variable doesn't contain the properties and methods, but how do we access them? Through object. For example, you want to access your TV through remote. If you want to change your channel, you need not touch your TV. Through the remote we can operate. So the variable is like a remote using which you can access your object. We have to store the address of this object inside a reference variable. So where reference variable name is equal to new parent class name. But using this particular reference variable, we can access this object, and through that object we are able to access only the parent member. Here parent member means either parent property or parent method. But if you create object for the child class, we can access both members. See, we are going to create an object for child class. Then through that reference variable, we can access parent member as well as child member too. So we are able to access the parent member and the child member through the same reference variable, because this reference variable holds an object of the child class. So the fundamental rule of the child class is that it is eligible to access the parent members too. It is the right of the child class object. So let me show a practical example. How do we apply the inheritance in the real world? So let me take an example of person versus student. Here person is a parent class, student is a child class, because every student is a person but every person is not a student. So person is a parent, student is a child. How do we represent this one? We have to create a class called person. Here person is the name of the class. It is recommended to start the class name with uppercase. And we have, let's save this file name inheritance.ts. We have to save it in C drive, TypeScript folder, file name inheritance.ts. Now we are going to create person name string data type, age number data type, because every person is having a name and as well as age. So let us say class student. I want to say the student is declared or created based on person. So we can say extends person, which means that student is a child, person is a parent. So the class syntax that we have to follow for declaration of inheritance: class, child class name, extends the parent class name. Now inside this we are going to create the child class properties. For example, student ID and marks. Here student ID number, marks are the specific properties that are applicable for only student. These are not applicable for the person. So whenever the detail are common for all the types of persons, including student, employee, for all types of members, we have to declare those members inside the person parent class. Whenever the details are specific to only student, that details must be provided for in the student child class name. For example, you want to store the name of the college or the name of the university, something. So that is applicable only for the student, right? So we have to declare in the student class. But you want to store the date of birth. Every person has their own date of birth. So date of birth is common for all types of persons, not only for student. So we have to store the date of birth inside the person class. Now let me create an object for the person class. The new keyword is used to create an